Hi, everybody. I'm here today to talk to you about Valentine's Day. So, Valentine's Day is just around the corner. I'm not really a Valentine's Day kind of person myself. Like, I'll never say no to chocolate, but I'm not like all about the holiday itself. So, there is some cool history surrounding it. So, we're going to talk about that. So, as for Saint Valentine himself, there's actually a lot of mystery surrounding who the actual Saint Valentine is because there is several. Now, there's kind of top three contenders, and they were all martyred. And so here they are. So the first Saint Valentine, he did something really cool for love. So Emperor Claudius II outlawed marriage of soldiers at one point. He believed that soldiers fought better when they were not married and did not have families. So this particular Saint Valentine saw that this was going on and he did not agree, and so he went against the emperor's wishes, and he was secretly marrying young couples before the husband could go off and fight. So he was captured and executed for this, which is really sad, but he did it for love, and it's amazing. It's such a sweet thing. Now, the second Saint Valentine is Saint Valentine of Terni. The cool thing about him is he's also the patron saint of epilepsy. So that's kind of an interesting tidbit about him. But he was a bishop and he ministered to persecuted Christians in Rome, and he was caught and executed for it. So there's that. Now, the third option is a Saint Valentine who helped Christians escape Roman prisons. Now, he was captured and he was sentenced to death. But the story goes that he fell in love with his jailer's daughter, and before he was sent to be executed, he wrote her a handwritten love letter and he signed it, "From your Valentine." So, was this the first Valentine ever written and ever given? I don't know, but that's kind of an amazing story. So, those are the three kind of top contenders for who the actual Saint Valentine might be. Now, there's some thought that the Christian church chose to make Valentine's Day February 14th because of a pagan festival that happened on February 15th. Now, this is something that happens with a lot of holidays, is that you'll find a Christian holiday right around the same time as a pagan holiday. And many people believe that it was so that the Christian church could kind of drown out the pagan holiday. And in most cases, it didn't work. But the pagan holiday is kind of a cool one. So the pagan celebration is called Lupercalia, and this is a celebration of fertility. So it's dedicated to the Roman god of agriculture. So how it would work was on February 15th, Roman priests would go to the cave where Romulus and Remus were said to be raised by a she-wolf. So these were the people that are believed to have made Rome. So when the Roman priests got there, they would sacrifice a goat for fertility and a dog for purification, which is really horrible. They would then cut the hide into strips. They would dip it in the sacrificial blood, and they would walk the streets gently smacking women and crop fields with the goat's hide that had been dipped in the sacrificial blood. Now, this was believed to allow crops to be fruitful and to allow women to be more fertile in the year to follow. So they actually kind of were happy to have this happen, which I still think is super gross. They would also have all of the women in the city put their name into an urn, and all of the eligible bachelors would draw names, kind of like a woman raffle. So whoever the man drew would be tied to him for the next year. Now, this usually resulted in the couple getting married, but I guess if they didn't get married the next year on Valentine's Day, they would go through the same process and be matched up with somebody else. Um, and I really have no words for what I think of that. Lupercalia was eventually outlawed by Pope Glacius. So, and when he did that, he declared February 14th St. Valentine's Day. So that's kind of the Christian church's stance, I guess, on Valentine's Day, and like where it came from officially on the Christian side. Now, some neat facts about Valentine's Day are that the oldest known Valentine's Day card in existence was from, it was a poem, and it was from Charles Duke to his wife. Now, Charles Duke was imprisoned in the Tower of London, and he sent this Valentine to his wife in 1415, and it is in a museum today. So it still exists, and people can read it, which is amazing. You should probably Google it. There's probably a picture of it. Yeah. Now, where did Cupid come from? The picture that you see of this cute little fat cherub with his bow and arrow is actually not who Cupid originally is believed to have been. So the Roman god Cupid, the god of love, is actually the god Eros. Now, Eros was said to be a handsome immortal, and he loved to play with the emotions of gods and men by shooting them with golden arrows, which would incite love and cause kind of chaos, and then turn into hatred. And this was kind of his thing that he did. So I'm not really sure how, but in the Hellenistic period, that's when people began describing him as the chubby cherub that you see now. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'd like to see pictures of what they originally thought that he looked like. This like grown up shooting people with golden arrows. It's kind of funny to me. So according to the Greeting Card Association, which is actually a thing, 145 million Valentines are sent each year. This is second only to Christmas, which of course people send Christmas cards and is a much more fun holiday, right? So 85% of Valentines are bought by women. So men, you guys got to get out there and buy some Valentine's Day cards. Like, my God. There's one other Valentine's Day related thing that I want to talk about that's actually not related to Valentine's Day itself, but it happened on Valentine's Day, and I feel like I have to talk about it because it's kind of a big deal in history. So this is the Valentine's Day Massacre. And it happened in the late 1920s, 1929. But so in the 1920s, there were gang wars going on in Chicago. Al Capone was trying to eliminate all of his competition, all of his rivals in bootlegging and gambling and prostitution. So he did this pretty harshly by killing people. So on February 14th, 1929, several men that were dressed in police uniforms walked into a garage in Chicago, had the 7 men inside stand up facing the wall. Now, they made it look like they were arresting them, so they had them all stand up against the wall, and then they shot them all. So this garage that these men came into was the garage of George Bugs Moran, who was one of Al Capone's longtime enemies. Now, they actually interviewed him, and he said the only person that kills like this is Al Capone, and they interviewed Al Capone, who said the same thing about George Bugs Moran. So this massacre remains totally unsolved to this day. There's never been an official link to Al Capone, so that is crazy. But it's generally agreed that he was behind it. So Bugs was believed to be running his bootlegging business out of this garage, and that's probably why it was targeted. And he was actually literally minutes from being a victim himself. He arrived minutes after the shooting happened, so that's crazy. And when they lined them up against the wall, they shot them all 70 times, which is very, very excessive. They obviously really wanted to get the job done. However, when the police arrived, there was one person that was still alive there, and the police pressed him for information about who had shot him and what had happened, and he refused to cooperate. He would not say. So he died, and that crime is considered one of the biggest unsolved crimes in history to this day. So it will probably never be solved, but that is another interesting kind of thing from Valentine's Day, the Valentine's Day massacre. So if you're into like mobsters and prohibition and all that fun stuff, then that's like some cool Valentine's Day history there. So yeah, so that's what I have on Valentine's Day. I hope everybody watching this video has an amazing Valentine's Day, whether you celebrate or not. And yeah, I'll be back on another day with another video about something totally different. Okay, thanks guys, bye.